started here in a minute.
This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My I hear it calling outside my window. I feel it in my
All right. Well, welcome, Chrissy and Christina and Susan and Taylor and Janet. And Terry, so glad to have each and every one of you here. We are also streaming live in the Stop Sabotaging group. So if you are listening there, welcome. We are glad to have you. Please put your name, like where you're from, and what your big, audacious, hairy goal is for 2024. Part of my job as a Dream Life coach is to help you hit your goals. And so I'd love to hear a bit in the comments or chat, but also in the Stop Sabotaging group. Feel free to share there as well. I'll be floating through both to look at the comments. All right. Well, today is a really special event. I'm excited to share with you 3 steps that I have taken over the past 20 years to not only overcome self-sabotage myself, but also to support and train and teach other people to overcome self-sabotage too. So before I just start chit-chatting, I am gonna go ahead and share my screen because that's where all the fun is. All right, let me press present and then I'll share my screen here. Hey, Taylor. Awesome. Taylor messaged and said she is looking to become an actress in LA. That's super exciting. Congratulations. And I think just even like she said, she just moved from from New York City to LA, and just making that decision, you guys, and going all in on your goal shifts everything. So I'm excited to share with you a bit more about how that works, and we will do that in this webinar. All right, so quit quitting and finally finish. My guess is that you are on this call because you have either started New Year's resolutions in the past, and then fell off within 2 weeks. Put a "that's me" in the comments below. Or maybe you are someone who says you want something, but don't quite know how to do it, or feel like you're in this stuck, wishy-washy, restless space for years. Put a "that's me" in the chat or comments if that is you. Well, today in this training, we are going to learn 3 reasons why we self-sabotage and 4 reasons to overcome self-sabotage to make it success easy. And that's really what this is all about. The goal here isn't that we work harder and grind our way to success. How many of you have tried that before? Like burnout, hello, we don't want that. Chrissy said, "That's me." Stuck, yes. Leisha said, "That's me." Janet said, "That's me." Taylor, yep. Okay, totally been there myself. I am so glad you're here. You are in the right place. And the goal, as you know, isn't that we stay in a place we don't love just because it's easy or convenient, right? Or that we take 1 step and take 2 steps back because it's we are not sure, or even that we grind our way to success. Has any of you grinded your way to success? I have, and I felt burnt out and overwhelmed and all the things. So the goal is that success is easy, that we're doing what we love, we're experiencing success, and it feels good to our souls. So let's jump into today. I'm going to support you by giving you clear steps to help you make some life changes that you've wanted to make for years. I know by the time you get to this training, you guys, you've probably been spinning your wheels for a while. You've probably been, at least I know for me, there's been so many times where I think, oh, I can do this on my own, or I've got this, or whatever. And then I'm like, I do not got this. Yeah. So put that to me in the comments if you've ever felt like that. So I know by the time you get here, you are ready for a change. Like you're hungry for it. You know what I mean? And you are ready to say, all right, I'm not going to live like this anymore. Taylor says, absolutely. Janet says, yep. For some reason, I put my slide on this screen, so I apologize if I'm not looking at the camera the whole time, but I want you to stay to the end because I'm going to draw a lucky random winner to get one of my newly designed Dream Life journals. This will be shipped directly to your house, and I will be doing that giveaway at the end, so be sure you stay to the end so you can be a part of that giveaway. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Denise Walsh. This is my beautiful family. My husband and I have been married since 2005, and we've got 2 little boys. We actually had to do IVF for our boys, and so I kind of thought, growing up, I expected all my children to look like Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. And then we had to go through IVF, and it was this big process. And when we had Owen and found out that like he was born and he had red hair, I thought to myself, what? Maybe did they like did they mix up our embryos in the waiting room with the other people that day? And then I found out that it has actually happened to people before, and I decided it was no longer a funny joke. But Eli came out and he also has red hair. They're now both in seventh and 4th grade. And there's very few redheads at our school, so they feel very special. But if you don't, so my husband and I I'll share a bit of our personal story. I was a clinical psychologist and he was an aerospace engineer. And we were at that place where we felt stuck, or we felt like we don't want to do this anymore, but we didn't really know what options there were because of the fact that nobody tells you that. They tell you how to go to school and go to college and get a job and stay there for 30 years and hate your life, right? Nobody teaches us how to build a life we love. And so we were at this place at 25 years old where we were ready for something new. We wanted growth. We wanted to find a new way to impact the world, and we didn't know how. And so you may see me now, 20 years into the journey, where I have written books and journals and hit the top of my network marketing company and stayed there for 15 years, where I got a chance to work with Jack Canfield and John Maxwell and get trained by the best of the best. And you may see the top of the mountain, right? But I have to tell you, it was not always this way. I got my start at camp. I often say that this is where my spark began. When I was in college, I went to New York City and I spent summers working with New York City foster kids, and they came to camp every summer. So they would come for a week and then go home for a few days and then come back and that kind of thing. And so I got to know these kids throughout our time together, and they came off the bus with their head down and their guard up. And throughout getting to know them, I felt like I could see them the way God sees them. I could see them 3 steps ahead of where they see themselves, and they started to blossom and become it. Like their guard started to come down, they started to feel trust. They started to blossom right in front of my eyes. And I said, you know what? Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to help people know just how awesome they are. I'm supposed to see them 3 steps ahead of where they are themselves and kind of speak life into that version, because these kids came filled with trauma. They came filled with self-doubt. They came filled with uncertainty. You know what I mean? And so they saw themselves in a specific light. They had automatic thinking. They had patterns. And I was able to see them differently, and I saw them grow. And so I went to Wheaton, got my master's in clinical psychology, and I was off to change the world, or so I thought. And if anybody has a helping profession story, I'd love for you to share it in the comments or the chat as well, because I know I can't be alone here in saying that the helping professions are often burnt out, overwhelmed, overworked. I mean, I was 24 years old I had a caseload of 70 clients. I led 6 groups. I mean, I was walking into a world that I didn't fully understand, of substance abuse and all this shocking, like, horrible stuff. I mean, I had some great moments there for sure. I had some really great clients that I still have a heart for, but it was a burnout position. It was more about policy, paperwork, and procedure than it truly was about people. And at 24 years old, I started going through my quarter life crisis. Let me know if you've ever been there, right? Where it's like, I don't, I have these big dreams and this big heart and these big goals, and this isn't it. This is not it. And so the question became, what do I do? What do I do? Because I can either stay where I am because it's comfortable. That's what I call here. I can stay here where I am because it makes sense to me. I understand the paperwork. I get it, even though I'm on call and all, I at least I know what to expect. Or I can take a step outside my comfort zone and start to create a picture of a future that I love, figure out what I'm excited about, and start to do something new. But what I found is every time I took a step outside my comfort zone, for example, I started seeing clients at my church, and like doing like a little private practice kind of thing. And then I started applying for other jobs. But then I would always say to me, what if it's worse there? What if it's worse? And I would start talking myself into staying in a place that I didn't like. Taylor says, I'm almost 25. I feel that. Janet says, the only birthday I hated was 26. Quarter life crisis. Yes, Leisha says, been there. Okay, so I'm not alone here. And what I learned in this process, you guys, was that most people are here. Most people don't love where they are, yet they stay there because it's more convenient. It's a little bit easier. Why? Because stepping outside your comfort zone elicits a lot of stuff, a lot of life, a lot of emotion, a lot of junk, a lot of like life gets in the way. So let me go through a few of these things that came up for me, and I'd love to hear what comes up for you too, because this comes up for everybody. So I know that we have some people who are network marketing leaders on this call, and you're working with a team, or maybe you are a teacher or in the nursing profession and you have people that you work with on a consistent basis, and you're trying to support them in their growth. I want you to listen to this presentation with two thoughts, right? One, for yourself, because you want to consistently grow as a leader, but also think about the people that you work with on a consistent basis, no matter where you are and what you're doing. All right. Because this content is helpful for you, but it's also helpful for you to know, and then you can see them kind of in a different light too. All right. So you step outside your comfort zone, and then guess what pops up? Limiting beliefs. Stinker. Gosh dang it. I hate when that happens. We cap ourselves. The comparison game. Have you guys ever had that where it's like, oh, she's so much further ahead than me. She's so, all of those things. Yes. Sometimes we don't even know what we want. I work with people all the time who say, I don't know what I want. I just know I don't want to be here. And so clarity is an important piece of the puzzle, right? Focus. Maybe there's too many plates happening. And so it feels like multitasking, like you're going from thing to thing to thing, and there's no deep work happening. Relationship struggles. We talk a lot about this in 90 Day U-Turn, that it's hard to live in the world of dreams when you're living in the world of drama. And if you come home and are walking on eggshells every day, that's going to be a really tricky space to be. And so relationship issues, struggles, all of that can really impact your ability to stay focused on where you want to go. Fear, jealousy, resentment, even things, you guys, that aren't at all about what you think you're focused on. Like you could have a business goal, but like resentment from your dad 8 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, and it's still impacting you today, and it's actually slowing you down. Time. I hear this a lot, you guys. I hear this a lot. People will say, oh, I want to XYZ, but I don't have time. And I'll say, question, is it that you don't have time, or is it that you don't have energy? Because the things you're doing are sucking the life out of you. And so when you get home, there's like no energy left at the end of the day. And that's an interesting thing to consider. Is it truly time or is it energy? And then the last, oh, well, there's, I'm sure, a bunch of other things that could be popping up, right? And when life happens. But one is the how. I hear this a lot too. I want to create a podcast. I want to write a book. I want to start my coaching business. I want to, you know, fill in the blank, but I don't know how. And that can stop us. And that's real. Like sometimes we need to learn skills in order to make the change we want to make. But the goal with all of this is that we've got two ways we can overcome the life that happens. Because this is what self-sabotage is, right? When you step outside your comfort zone and you try to create new habits and you're like, I'm going to go to the gym now. And then whoop, 2 weeks later, we snap back to what's normal. There's two ways to go about this. We do both of them in my 12-week program, 90-day U-turn. But one way, both, we really have to do both at the same time. But the one way is to create a vision of your future that produces so much passion, you're stinking excited about it. Like, what if you knew what you wanted, you knew what to do on a daily basis to get there, and you had your like list of 5 things that you're going to do every day that's going to help you reach your goal, and you felt excited about reaching it? Like, what if you lived every day working? Yeah, but you're like passionate. Give me I want that in the comments or the chat. I want that. So we're creating a vision of our future that produces excitement. Okay. And then the other piece to the puzzle is, what if we leveled up normal? Because self-sabotage is when we say we want something and then we don't do it. And instead of, hold on, I think it's right. Well, I don't know where the slide is, but instead of, yes, we're going to create a personal vision, but what if we leveled up our here too? Okay. Marlisa says, I want that. Nicole says, I want that. Christy, I want that. Leisha, I want that. Christina, whoop, whoop. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So the reason why we're leveling up here is because we know life's going to happen. We know that it's not going to be always smooth sailing. We know there's going to be days that we just don't wanna, like there's going to be days where you're feeling sick, or days when you're tired, or like we know that life's going to happen and it's not going to be easy. And so instead of snapping back to old habits that aren't taking us where we want to go, what if we leveled up here and like had habits that were taking us where we want to go? So when life happened, we were still drinking water every day. We still had our journal, because you know what? It feels weird not to. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to get to that slide and probably say it all over again, but I just think this is so fascinating because we can hack our nervous system and hack our brain and do things on purpose to keep our vision strong and level up here so we don't sabotage. Okay, so self-sabotage is saying you want to do something, but then not doing it. I mean, we've all done it. And there's not like a no shame, like this is no judgment zone, right? Like this is part of being human. But because we learn about how our brain works, about how quantum physics work, about how our feelings and emotions work and how it impacts the world around us, like we can hack this stuff. And so some examples of self-sabotage are procrastination, perfectionism, like I'm never going to get started because it's never good enough, which means I'm not good enough, and the whole rabbit hole, right? Self-doubt, second guessing, indecisiveness. Sometimes we stay busy because we don't really want to, like we say we want something, but we're kind of scared of either success or failure. And so we keep ourselves so busy with all this other stuff, we like can't do the thing that we say we want to do. There's a whole, well, I knew it wouldn't work, so why try, right? And that's exactly what happens with self-sabotage. We say we want something, but our belief isn't there. And so we self-sabotage our efforts. And then we say, see, told you. But the deal is, you guys, is it's just a part of being human, and it is not your fault. And when you learn these skills, you can hack your brain essentially and level up in a place where this doesn't have to be your normal. Imagine if there was an easy button. Like imagine if, this is where it is again, right? You're leveling up your normal, and normal is taking you where you want to go. What if building a 6-figure side business felt easy? What if losing weight and eating healthy felt fun? What if going to the gym was like a part of your normal routine? Like, what if we leveled up your normal and created habits that became who you be? Mm. So, how do we do that? Well, first, we're going to dig into 3 reasons why we self sabotage. And then we're going to talk about 4 ways to overcome it. And I'd love to hear, what do you feel like is your main, like, ammo, I guess, for self sabotage? Do you procrastinate? Are you perfectionist? Do you comparisonitis? Like, what's the thing that kind of gets in your way? If you could comment that, that would be helpful. Okay, so the 3 reasons why we self-sabotage, subconscious, self-image, and stress. And so I'm going to go kind of deep into all of this. Lucy says procrastination. Yes, fear of failure, Christina. Nicole says all of the above. Kira, procrastination. Yeah. Procrastination and compare. Yes. Fear, says Terry. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I mean, you're all very normal. This is all very normal human stuff. Janet says self-image. Yes. Alicia says procrastinating perfectionist that has self-doubt. Ooh, baby, we're going to kick that to the curb, right? And so that's exactly what this is. This is all normal, human. It's always easier to think of the worst case scenario, and we have to train ourselves not to. So, all right, let's dive in. So what is your subconscious? All right, so your subconscious is what it declares what your normal beliefs are. So your normal beliefs about yourself, others, and the world. It's a sponge and it stores everything. So as this, what's this called? This is called an iceberg. As this iceberg image shares, the subconscious kind of runs autopilot, and it runs 95 to 99% of your behavior. So what's really interesting, and we deep dive into this in 90 Day U-Turn, is that we think that we're in charge of our behavior. And that's not quite right, because our subconscious is, and our subconscious can pick up 140, let me see, no, 11 million to 80 million pieces of information per second. So our subconscious is scanning our community, scanning our environment, scanning our room, scanning our home, and it is absorbing all of this information, and then it's saying, how do I fit into the tribe? And then it says, that's who I am. I fit into the tribe. And so I am going to seek safety, security, and I'm going to survive inside the environmental average because I want to fit into the tribe. Now, consciously, our conscious mind handles 140 pieces of information per second. So we think, oh, Little Caesars on the commercial. That sounds good. Let's order it. And we think it's our own choice. No, it's like the environment is telling us what to do. In a sense, it's really fascinating. Our subconscious copies, mirrors, mimics, and repeats what it sees in the environment because it wants us to be safe and belong to the tribe. And our subconscious cannot differentiate between a real, an imagined, or a screened event. I'm just gonna let that sink in. This is powerful information. And once you know this stuff, you can like set yourself up for success in an intentional way. All right, so you may have heard this before, but as our behavior comes from a lot of times, the hard wiring is programmed in the first 7 years of life. And during these years, our children, or when we were children, spent most of our time in alpha and theta brainwave cycles, which is the same state that a person is in when they're in hypnosis or meditation. So the first 7 years of life, children and us are deciding kind of their self-image, like, what is the world like? Who am I in the world? Is the world safe to me? All of these types of things. And that becomes hardwired into our subconscious. And this is a really helpful thing, because if you had to relearn how to brush your teeth, right, that would be very frustrating and annoying and take a lot of brain space. But what happens is when things get hardwired, they become automatic and you don't have to think so much about them. Yes, Susan, I said screened event. So like TV, imagery, all of that kind of stuff, what you're listening to. Yeah. Your brain does not know if it's real or imagined. It's fascinating. And so now if you have, I have a 10-year-old, and I remember I was teaching this stuff 3 years ago, and he turned 8. And I remember the summer of him being 7, almost 8. And he went from like my little buddy following me around to being like this independent. Now he only wants dad. Like I could see the shift in him. It was really kind of cool because he went from this alpha and theta brainwave to being a bit more independent and, growing up. And so in our community, that's our subconscious in our first 7 years are taking a look at our family views. Like, what is my family like? How are my relationships? Is divorce normal in my family? Is being obese normal in my family? Are we broke? Are we have a savings? Do we talk about money at all? Like, what's normal for our family? You can think about your community. What's normal for your community? Is the community, think about the friends you had in high school. Are their parents divorced? Is there a lot of relationship strain? Is there alcohol abuse? Do people have jobs, no jobs? Like, what's the norm in your community? Because your subconscious is going to start to think, this is my normal. This is how life goes. It's normal to bounce from relationship to relationship to relationship. It's normal to be out of a job. It's normal to be in a job for 30 years I don't like. Like, your body starts to think that it's normal. And then you can even think of media. This is why screened is really important. You think of, I know when I was in middle school, they talked a lot about body image and like the impact that magazines had on kids. And so what movies are you watching? What does the media say about X, Y, and Z at that time? And so what happens is in the first 7 years, you are able to, like, it's hardwired in, and it starts to become who you believe you are, your self-image. Now, the cool thing is you're not stuck. And we'll talk about this in a minute because you learn to drive a bike. I'm not sorry. You learn to ride a bike and drive a car. You learn to drive a car when you were 16, right? You weren't 7 then. You learn other habits as an adult. Like, you can rewrite it. It just takes intention. And so the way you view yourself matters. The way you view who you are in the world and how the world treats you, it all matters. And so as we start to retrain our brain, your self-image starts changing too. And you will never out-earn or outperform your own self-image. So your behavior is derived from your own self-image. Now, I'm going to take a minute. We're talking about like us personally right now, right? But if you're working with people, this is a really fascinating thing to consider. Are you speaking into who they want to be? For example, are you giving them like, for example, Janine is on the Facebook Live. And so I see her and I know that she has a dream of writing a book, and she's got a really powerful, powerful story to tell. And so I am now going to start calling her author friend. Hey, author friend. Janine is my new author friend. And I'm going to start calling her like, hey, did you know that you're an author? And at some point she's going to go, and especially at the dream dinner that we're going to do in Costa Rica, she's going to bring a pretend book, and she's going to go, I am an author. And her whole body is going to go, oh, really? Okay, well, we can make that happen. And it's fascinating and so stinking cool when your self-image starts to change and you go, I'm a business owner. I'm a coach. I know we had a girl, Rachel, in the last 90-day U-turn. She's like, oh, I'm a coach and I'm good at this. Like, yes. And so your self-image starts to shift as well. And that's when you are that's how you know you're hardwiring new nervous system, new automatic thoughts, all those things. Okay. So self-image is second one. When we want to shift our self-image, because that's where kind of the root of all of our behavior comes from. The third thing that keeps us in self-sabotage, you guys, is stress. Now, the reality is if you are living on an 8 or 9 in like freak out mode, like 10 is I'm going to blow, then it does not take much for you to blow. Am I kidding? Amen. And so when you are in freak out mode, when you're in fight or flight mode, when you have chronic stress, it doesn't take much for you to make the easy decision versus the long-term decision. You're going to always do what's easier when your body's in fight or flight mode. And most people, you guys, are living in fight or flight mode, right? So fight or flight mode is when your heart is racing, you're tense, you're a bit anxious, maybe your stomach and like gut hurts, your brain, the blood goes from your brain to your limbs, and you're just like in this chronic stress, and you're going to do what's easiest. And so a couple things that you want to think about is, currently, are you living in fight or flight mode? Are you kind of in that freak out mode? I call it the world of drama because everything feels like a big deal. Yeah, Janet says white knuckle mode. Yeah, your teeth are grinding, all that kind of stuff. Or are you in rest and digest mode, which is, okay, like I can breathe deeply and I'm relaxed and I'm focused because I'm not multitasking, right? Multitasking is a sign of fight or flight mode. And so I call it the world of drama versus the world of dreams, but it's fight or flight mode versus rest and digest. You can call it panic and peace or chaos and calm, however you want to describe it for yourself. Christy said she's been in fight or flight mode. Yep. And so the goal here is to decrease stress, right? And so when you decrease stress and you get your body into living in rest and digest mode on a more consistent basis, you can go into fight or flight mode when it's appropriate. We just don't want to live there, right? We don't want to live there. And if you had any sort of trauma in your life, I do this work with trauma and trafficking survivors in my nonprofit. Most of the time, the girls that I work with within Stop Cis are living in fight or flight mode all of the time, most likely rooted in the traumatic event where like life wasn't safe, right? So Terry says, I don't think I've ever, or Taylor, I'm sorry, I don't think I've ever been on rest mode. Yes, well, this is a good place for you to be, because if you're 25, 26 and can learn this stuff, you're like setting yourself up for success. So let's talk a little bit about how to get into rest and digest mode. And then we'll move into the 4 ways to overcome self-sabotage. So the first thing that I have people do is write down what brings you joy. And I think that this seems like an easy thing to answer. I don't know. Let me know if it feels easy or hard to answer this. Like, what brings you joy? What are some things that you enjoy doing that when you leave doing it, you're filled up? For me, I love like coffee dates. I love good conversations, which is why I think I got into psychology, because I like love good intentional conversations. I love having fun. I love reading. I love working out. I love yeah. So Christy says, I've never had rest mode either. My procrastination is an attempt at rest. Ooh, that's a good conversation, Christy, where it feels like, all right, I'm just gonna sit down for a minute and relax, but instead you're avoiding the hard thing that you know you need to do. Yeah. So what brings you joy? And then the question to ask, so Taylor says, baking, playing, volleyball, singing. Yes, good. Those are things that all bring you joy. And then the question to ask yourself is it in your calendar? So these are like snippets of some of the things we do with the 90-day U-turn, and we actually have you do them together. So you actually do it, because I know we don't do these things on our own, which is why it's good to have accountability and community. So we can like write it out and share and put it on our calendar and then hold each other accountable to this kind of stuff. Yeah, never on your calendar. Yep, we're going to start changing that. Leisha's doing 90-day U-turn this next round, and this is going to be part of what we do, is kind of get your life back, get your spark back. You know what I mean? All right. And so the 4 ways to overcome it, we've got home, hypnosis, habits, and health. All right. And I'm going to go through each of them fairly quickly, but these are the things you want to be thinking about if you feel like you're on that hamster wheel. I was going to say rabbit race, and then I thought that's not quite it. Hamster wheel? Is that it? Okay. So I call this hacking your home. Hacking your home. You want to take a look at your environment. There's a piece of this that needs to detox. So you want to figure out what's there that needs to be taken out, and then what is around that you can add to. Okay. So you want to think about what you're watching, what you're listening around, who you're hanging around. I mean, do you have positive words all over your house? Do you have your dream board on your refrigerator? Do you have your goals front and center in your mirror? Do you have, what does that really look like for you? Because remember, your subconscious is picking up 140 million bits per second, which means even if you're not consciously reading it, your subconscious is. And it's like, oh, that's normal. That's my tribe. I'm going to go hang out with them. And so think about that. And then think about what maybe we need to take away. What are some things we need to detox? Are we scrolling on social media too much? Are we watching too much Netflix or news or things that are just not helpful to our goals and potentially sucking out life, right? So Nicole says, I believe I've always been in fight or flight mode, no rest. Yeah. Just fight. Yes. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about that because we want rest and digest to be your normal. The second thing that we want to think about is the hypnosis. And the reason why hypnosis is so stinking cool is because you basically listen to the training. Hold on, let me shut my door. The dog came in and opened the door and everyone's home. So I don't know if you can hear them or not, but okay. So when you are falling asleep, you go from like beta to theta and delta, and you go through the alpha and theta brainwave state. And so what we do is you can certainly find these on YouTube. A 90-day U-turn, I give you a different hypnosis, one per month that you listen to on the way down as you're falling asleep. You can listen to this while you're cleaning. That's kind of another relaxed time when you're just kind of in the zone. You can do it while you're getting ready. You can listen to this anytime you want to give yourself life. But we recommend listening to it while you're falling asleep so it can kind of speak life into your subconscious. And as it's switching and the hard wiring around. It's powerful. It's powerful. And the things that maybe triggered you before or the self-doubt that you maybe had, it's not always a flip of the switch, but all of a sudden you're going to go, oh, wow, I haven't thought about that in a while. Or I haven't experienced that negativity like I had. Or, you know what, that used to trigger me and I would be mad for 3 days, but now I'm only mad for like an hour or 3 minutes or, or that didn't even bother me at all. The content that we do with the 90-day U-turn takes those like saber-toothed tiger triggers and makes them little annoying flies because our nervous system starts to rewire, and the hypnosis is a part of that. So Janet said, you did a good hypnosis last night. Yeah. And it starts to become your normal, right? Where you're used to it. And when your subconscious starts to rewire, it's setting your internal GPS. And so you think about an airplane that's going, from, let's say, Taylor, right? New York to LA. If it goes off course a bit, it gets rerouted because of the GPS system. And that's what's happening with your subconscious. We want to speak life into your subconscious to kind of rewire that hard wiring, and then that sets your internal GPS. All right, next we've got habits. Habits, repetition, again and again and again and again. So you can rewire your nervous system, rewire your automatic thinking. This is why we do affirmations every day, not just like, randomly or once a year or once in our life. No, every day. Affirmations every day. We're taking a look at our list every day. We are every day we are creating new neural pathways. And you guys, if this were easy, you would already be there, because the reality is if you could just watch a YouTube video and like your life be changed, you would be there already. But the power of community and accountability with this stuff is priceless. Because if I ask you, if you know you're going to see us every Tuesday, you are going to drink your water. You are going to do your journaling. You are going to you're going to do way more than you ever would on your own. It's true. Yeah. So the habits are what you do on a consistent basis. And so think about these are just some habit tricks. If you do want to start creating new healthy habits beginning of the year, if you want to build your business and you want to have lead follow-up in your calendar on a consistent basis, or you want to drink more water or go to the gym, One thing I love is called habit stacking, where you pair a new habit with something you already do and you already enjoy. So I was training for a marathon or a race. This was years ago, but I used to only watch my favorite shows while I was running because I was on a treadmill. And this was actually back in the days where you had to record it and watch it on your TV. This was like 15 years ago, I'm thinking about. But I remember I'm like, I'm only going to watch The Biggest Loser while I'm running. I'm only going to do this thing that I enjoy while I'm running. And so I paired the thing that I enjoy with my new habit. You can think about doing your affirmations while you brush your teeth. You brush your teeth every single day. Pair a new habit with something you're already doing, and then it doesn't feel so hard. The goal is to grow our comfort zone, but the goal isn't to go from like 1 to 10. The goal is to go from like 1 to 3. And then that becomes normal. And then 3s are normal. And then we go to 5 and that becomes normal. And then eventually we get to 10 and we go, oh my gosh, I'm living my dream life. And I didn't even realize it. Yeah. So the habits are important because you become what you think about. And so not only do we have physical habits, the physical habits are helpful because they do start to retrain your self-image. So for example, the more you walk or work out, the more you're going to think, oh, I'm a runner. I work out. I'm a whatever. And you're going to start to shift that self-image. But you also want to think about thought habits. So again, when life happens, what's the automatic thinking? Is the automatic thought, I'm not good enough. Nothing ever works for me. I should just give up, right? I mean, we've all been there, I'm sure. I know I have. So we want to think about what is our go-to automatic thought, and then how we can catch it, take it captive, shift, and create new neural pathways and new automatic thoughts. And it's possible. You guys, I work with people every single week who have said, oh my gosh, last year at this time, I would have handled the situation so much differently. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't get mad. I can't believe I communicated effectively. I can't believe this didn't take me down a spiral. I can't believe, like, this works. And when you aren't living in drama, right? You can get yourself out of fight or flight mode, and you aren't living in drama. You have brain space to work towards your dreams. You're your own cheerleader. You say, I got this. I can do hard things. This craving will pass. That's for any dieters out there or healthy habit people out there. I'm proud of my efforts. Tomorrow, I'm going to feel so good. I call that that next morning joy, when you wake up and you're like, I'm so proud of the effort I put in yesterday. So those are the new automatic thoughts that we want to start having. When life happens, as we know it will, we don't need to create meaning out of that life, meaning like you're in a car accident. Oh, everything bad happens to me. No, just car accidents happen, right? We don't need to create meaning out of that. We call that making a mountain out of a molehill. We can move through life much faster. It becomes a speed bump, right? Rather than a stop sign. So delayed gratification is a piece of that, building your self-trust, where when you're living in rest and digest and you're kind of out of fight or flight mode, you can make more of those long-term decisions. Another skill that we talk a lot about is that 5-second rule, which builds authentic pride, because the goal of all of this, you guys, is not to only get out of fight or flight mode and live in rest and digest so you can make longer term decisions. The goal is, yes, to reshift your self-image, so you start to believe in yourself again. So you believe that you will do what you say you're going to do. That's at the end of the day, like, I know that we've won. When not only have you been sparked, but you start to believe yourself again. When you say you want something, you believe that you'll actually do it. How many of you would love to know that you're going to wake up when your alarm goes off tomorrow? How many of you would love to trust that you are going to work your business on a consistent basis? Put a that's me. I want that, like, in the comments. I want to hear. But that's what this is all about. With self-sabotage, you say you want something and you don't do it so often that that becomes who you think you are. And that is not true. when we learn these skills to get out of fight or flight mode into rest and digest, and we learn how to take our thought captive, we relight our spark and connect with our life purpose. We learn to listen to our heart rather than our monkey mind, right? You can build authentic pride. And like that's high-fiving over, yes, definitely. Lucy says definitely. Taylor, me. Chrissy, me. Alicia, me. Yes. Oh, the 5-second rule. You're right. I didn't explain that. The 5-second rule is when you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. It's in week 12 of 90 Day U-Turn, Janet, so you haven't gotten there yet. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And it's a Mel Robbins book. She talks all about the science between even just saying go to yourself and how you only have a split second to make that decision, or else your brain is going to be like, whatever. You go back to the old ways. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And the more you do that, the more you'll begin to know that you are somebody you can trust, which shifts everything. So I have a question for you. Imagine what life will look like in 1 year. Now it's January 2024. In 1 year from now, what do you want life to look like? And my guess is most of the time each year it looks kind of the same. You know, we really don't change all that much in a year if we're not taking intentional action or intentional growth. So the first thought is to ask yourself, what does life look like in 1 year? What do you want to look like with your health, with your finances, with your business? If some of you are wanting to grow coaching businesses or you're growing network marketing businesses, what do you really want that to look like in 1 year? And what do you need to do now in order to set yourself up for success to have that be your normal in 1 year? Your body follows your mind. So as we continue to paint a picture of what you want life to look like, what you're excited about, we gain clarity for what it is you want next, and we level up your habits. So that way when life happens, you're not self-sabotaging, right? Because you have the habits that are taking you where you want to go. Your body follows the mind and you will start seeing shifts. And you can be living your dream life. I think that's a funny picture. All right, so I want to introduce you guys to my 12-week program. It opens up tonight and we start actually on Tuesday for our first meeting for these next 12 weeks. We meet Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern for an hour and a half to go over each week's content. And the reason why this is so important is because we all need community and accountability to make these changes. It's not as easy on our own, and it's certainly not as fun. So several of you are currently in 90 Day U-Turn. I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comment or chat below. I'll share with you a few of the testimonies that we have. And in 90 Day U-Turn, we teach what I call the dream life pathway: head, heart, feet. Do you know what you want? Do you believe it's possible? And do you know how to go get it? And there's a plethora, like a ton, but a more than ton. There's a good amount of exercises for each area of life. The thing to think about is with a psychology degree, with the success principle training, overcoming self-sabotage. Like I've spent 20 years reading books on neuroplasticity and how the brain works and all these kinds of things. And so it's all woven together to have a 3-step process. So head is all about clarity. What do I want next? How many of you do think like that's what I need first? Like, I don't really know what I want. I just know I don't want to be here anymore. So put head if you think that's you. Put head. And then heart is about believing it. Because again, you can say whatever you want, but if you don't believe it, then you're out of sync and you are not going, like you're going to say, I want this goal. And you're going to go, yeah, right. And then when it doesn't happen, you'll say, oh, that's whatever, right? So belief is a huge piece of it. So we want to believe that what we are looking to create and do and the goal that we have is feasible, possible, doable. It's in our like realm. The other piece about heart is emotionally clearing our heart space and letting go of the things that are emotionally holding us back. And so there's some forgiveness work that we do. This is what really catapults clients because it's like, we don't want to do that hard stuff. We don't want to talk about that, but it really does. And we don't talk about the hard stuff necessarily, but we release and forgive and let go and overcome and process through it in a way that you may have not had a chance to do before. So there's some exercises like that woven in as well. And then it's feet. Feet is skill set, time management. What skill do I need to learn and practice? Like, what's the thing that I need to put on my calendar in order to make moves? So if you feel like your stuck point is head, put head. If you feel like your stuck point is heart, like you don't believe it, put heart. If you feel like your stuck point is feet, like I don't know what to do or what action to take or all that kind of thing, put feet in the comments. I'd love to hear. All right, so here's some testimonies from people that did the program a year or so ago. So if you have recently done it, put yours in the chat too. But Pam said, I love how aware I am of what I let myself see and hear. And I have to tell you, since 90 Day U-Turn, it's so like amazing to me to see Pam chose to step out of abusive relationship and is like on a completely different path, and she is beautiful and vibrant and she's engaged again and all these things. It's just so amazing to see and experience growth like that. And that's not something that's a tricky thing to do. And so anyway, just give her props. And then we've got Melanie. Melanie said, I feel like this program is exactly where God called me to be. Melissa said, this week I stayed more disciplined than I have in a while, and it's helped me to see what I really can do, what I really am capable of. Lucy lost 5 pounds in the first 2 weeks. Kelsey, who's a stay-at-home mom, and she was like, she messaged me like a few months after the program, and she goes, oh my gosh, I just used the skills that I learned with my crazy in-law or whoever it was, like her mom or something. And she goes, before that would have derailed me and freaked me out, and I would have handled it completely differently. And now I feel like I know what to do when I'm triggered or when life happens, and I can handle it, which means I'm not living in the world of drama. Like, amen. Ashley said, this program and process of change are powerful, especially with a strong group of women. Yes, community is key. And so what is 90 Day U-Turn? I call it a loving kick in the right direction. We have weekly group coaching meetings. So our community meeting is Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. We meet for 90 minutes. You get a training video that you can watch at your leisure with a PDF that you can print or just fill it on your computer, or you can actually purchase. I'll show you this at the end, but we put it on Amazon, so it's all in one spot if you're interested in that. And you write about your own life. So again, the psychologist in me is like, I don't want you to just watch a video, right? I want you to think about and introspect on your own situation and what you want in your own life, and where do you come from, and why are you the way you are, and then how do we, take steps forward. And then we talk about it, and everybody gets a chance to share, because we go into breakout rooms led by Dream Life coaches who are in the certification program. And so they facilitate the group sessions, the small group sessions, which means everybody gets a chance to share and talk. And that again is where the change happens, because when you speak, your words vibrate throughout your whole body, and it shifts you on a cellular level. And so again, I'll have people say, yeah, Denise, whatever. I mean, I don't know if you've ever thought that, but one girl said to me, I just did it because you told me to, but like, I didn't really think it would work. And she was talking about the dream dinner that we went to. Her name is Sally, and she came with a diploma because she wanted to go back to school for social work. And so she came to the dream dinner, and she was just kind of like, whatever. And we were sharing, everybody's been sharing what we're doing and what we're up to. And as 5 years has gone by, and she showed us her diploma, and she said, I went back to school and I now have a degree in social work. And as she started saying it, she's now getting her degree. It's fascinating. So cool. So anyway, you get the workbook that you can go through, and you also get the meetings every single week, so you can process through the questions with us. Eileen said, I feel a rise in my confidence and positivity. Carrie, for the first time in 3 years, I'm excited to improve my life and actually do something about this. No more rock bottom, right? Jacqueline said, the program has been life-changing in just a couple of weeks. I have more focus and drive. I feel accountable, but not judged. I've given myself grace when needed instead of beating myself up. The reality is, right? If you could do it alone, you would have done it already. You would have been there already. Change truly happens in community. And that's what we want to invite you into today. Alana said, my mind shift is already shifting. I know I'm made for more. Penny has a super cute story. She lost 8 pounds. She's happier, closer to God, forgiving her past. And Susan said, oh my gosh, I'm so in love with this already. Like there's a lot of aha moments in just the first 2 weeks. But Penny has a fun story. Yeah, this is Penny's story. There she is. This is what I'm looking for. She was able to say yes to Mexico without anxiety because she had been doing the healthy habits we talked about. She had been cleaning up her home and like taking, she was doing the things. And when someone asked her to go to Mexico, normally she would say, ah, I can't do that. I can't add more one thing. She would be living on an 8 or 9, right? And like, I can't be gone. I can't. But because she had been taking care of her home, she was purging and like cleaning things up and getting organized and feeling good about herself with their health choices. When she got the opportunity to go to Mexico, she felt like it was an easy yes. And she said, last year, 6 months ago, I never would have been able to do that. Like, this is the thing that happens when you learn these skills, is you learn how to get out of fight or flight mode and live in the world of dreams. And so I want to invite you to participate. We start Tuesday, January 9th. We meet on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. You get a weekly session with a Dream Life coach who's in the certification program. You have access to all the trainings and workbooks and the community group to connect with each other on a weekly basis. So the question I'm sure you're all asking is like, oh, this sounds great, but how much is it? So let me know before I get into the nitty gritty of it. Is this something you feel like would benefit you? I'd love to hear in the chat. Would it be helpful to meet each week to learn these skills so you can grow your vision and then step into it? I want to hear from you. Yes, Taylor, so helpful. Yes. Leisha, most definitely. Yes. And certified coaches learn how, not only do they participate in 90-day U-Turn themselves as a client to like experience their own shifts, they come back a second time to be a support coach and practice using the coaching skills they learn within the clinical skills. And they get certified in teaching this content with their clients as well. So I paid thousands, as you know, right? A clinical psychology degree. I got certified with Jack Canfield. I did the freedom from self-sabotage training. I mean, I paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and 20 years of experience, and I compiled it into 12 weeks to take you on a journey. And so normally I charge $499 a month for this program, and which, to be honest, is still a steal of a deal when you think of 12 hours of content plus 12 hours of like in-person live Zoom time. And you know how much therapy is these days, right? But because you're on this Zoom and I think you're pretty special and I want you to have a lit spark and I want you to live your dream life and learn these skills, it's not going to be $14.97 for the 3 months. It is only going to be $299 a month or $897 for 3 months of a loving kick in the right direction that you then can duplicate with your team. And if you are interested in learning how to take this content, teach, train it, have access to Sell 90-day U-Turn yourself, and you decide you want to upgrade into the certification program, come on a retreat, all of those super fun things, you're actually able to upgrade at any time, and any money you put towards 90-day U-Turn will go towards the certification program. So it's a really great way for you to get your feet wet with the content, see if it's something that you're interested in, something that you enjoy, and then that's something you want to be certified in, right? And then you can upgrade at any time to become a Dream Life certified coach. Dream Life coaching is I've been so proud of the coaches who got certified this past year, their dedication to helping others, but then also like doing something that they love too. Like it gives them so much joy to lead a 90-day U-Turn themselves or to host a coaching session. And they're coming off these calls on cloud 9 because they know they're helping people and they're making money doing it. So if you are interested in 90-day U-Turn, go to 90dayuturn.com and get started now. You can do monthly or you can do the pay in full. Please know we start on Tuesday. So I'd love for you to get in. You'll get instant access. You'll get an email with all the information on how and why, like how to log in and start the training and stuff, and you can get started. So you'll want week 1 done by Tuesday night so we can dive right in. If you're thinking you want to become a certified coach, you can do one of 2 things. You can start with 90-day U-Turn and upgrade if you decide you want to, or you can text learn more to this number and we'll schedule a one-on-one call so I can tell you a bit more about how the whole certification process works. The certification process is a year long, about 6 months of getting certified, and then I support you in growing your business for 6 months. My goal is to not leave you hanging. And so we've got a lot of business content in there and stuff as well. So, all right. I am going to stop sharing my screen and pick a winner here for the journal. If you have any questions, now is a great time to put any questions in the chat or in the comments. I am going to do random number generator. And there's 11, let's see. There's about 20 people total. So I'm going to do number 7. So I'll start here with the Zoom, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Melanie Castle, you just actually won a journal. You are number 7 in the list. So congratulations. I will get with you in order to win a Dream Life Daily Journal. These are available on the website, thedreamlifebooks.com. So does anybody have any questions for me as we get started and jump into 90-day U-Turn? Yay. Awesome, Taylor. I'll message you back directly on Facebook too. We'll definitely stay in touch. Awesome. Oh, let me check the Facebook group and see if there's any questions there. And otherwise, we are good to go. Awesome. So 90dayuturn.com is the website. I'm excited to work closely with you over these next 90 days so you can get out of your own way and live your dream life too. Have an awesome, awesome day, you guys. We'll see you on Tuesday.